Intro. If you watched my previous video, you already know that Elden Ring is presented by Fromsoftware and Bandai Namco Entertainment, where a new world is created by Hidetaka Miyazaki and George R. Martin, which are the creators of the Dark Souls series and Game of Thrones respectively. Platforms and release. According to a new trailer, the game will be released on PlayStation 4 and 5, Xbox Series XS and Xbox One and PC via Steam on January 21st, 2022. Note that if you purchase it in PS4, you can upgrade it to PS5 for free, and for Xbox consoles, the game supports the Smart Delivery System. The new trailer. In this trailer, the dialogue is as follows.
The tarnished will soon return, guided by grace once lost. The Golden Order is broken to its core.
Foul tarnished, in search of the Elden Ring, emboldened by the flame of ambition. Someone must extinguish thy flame.
They will fight, and they will die in an unending curse. For how else is a champion or a lord to be born?
Well, a lowly tarnished, playing as a lord, I command thee now!
Brandish the Elden Ring for all of us.
As you can see, there is a lady that is on your side and a main enemy that wants you dead. He seems to be a former king that thinks really well of you and does not want you to fix the Elden Ring. He has many attached arms and fights with multiple weapons. We saw him in the first game trailer. Is this king the one that broke the ring? That is to be discovered through gameplay. Notice that the Elden Ring is also known as the Golden Order. Your mission is to restore this order and go against evil creatures with the help of this lady. The trailers start with the lady riding a horse that finds a knight laying on the ground. Then she explains that the tarnished will soon return, and that he or she will be guided by grace and lost. It seems that the tarnished one is the knight on the ground, and is tarnished because he lost its grace. However, the knight will return to recover what it was lost. The horse. A knight walks in a grass field and then summons a horse. It seems that this is the tarnished one, and he has the ability to summon a horse. Is this horse given by the lady? Then we see a caravan of undead soldiers with torches. A more intimidating one on a horse with a cold sword and two skeleton undead giant trees pulling a wagon. Notice that the golden tree is at the background with the monk next to it. Here we also see a horse fight similar to the one in Berserk. Notice that the horse is different than the enemy's horse. Yours has horns and different ears, more like a horse-bull hybrid with magic abilities. This means that the mount battle are going to be part of this game. Here we can also see that there is a two-handed sword charge attack dragging the weapon on the ground. We also see different types of armor such as leather and plate, and weapons such as great and coarse swords and shields. Later, there is a scene where you can use magic on ground to do a really high vertical jump. Then we see how you can jump off the horse and get into battle using momentum. And finally, during a dragon fight, we notice a double jump by your horse. Summons. During the trailer, we noticed that summoning would be available. This could be other players or NPCs. Check the variety of weapons during this fight. We can see bow, spear, whips, and more. Bonfire. Like in Dark Souls, it looks like we will be able to use bonfires. The world. First, we see a world in ruins with a golden giant tree emanating light in the background, followed by different types of castles. At the same time, the lady is explaining that the Golden Order is broken to its core, and a war banner is shown. Is this a banner for the Golden Order? Is the Golden Tree related with the Order? Then, we see a ruin of a castle disintegrating and flying creatures at the background. Perhaps dragons? Now, there are more unique castle structures and another giant tree in the background. Following, there is a room with a paint, like the painted world of Ariandel in Dark Souls. Maybe we will be able to get in. Next, there is a giant face on the ground behind while you climb a ladder. Then there is an underground location with an enemy guarding the entrance. There is a really good torch and lighting contrast. I hope they don't turn it down like in Dark Souls 2. And finally, we see an astonishing Gothic castle, followed by a great battle in a cathedral area where the use of magic and spears is implemented. Combat and characters. First, we see a giant rocky turtle looking creature with a bell hanging below. Is this like in Dark Souls 1, ringing bells after the gargoyle fight? Then there is a fight against an enemy with many arms. Is this a character from the first trailer? Check the great finishing moves. During the next boss fight, we see the use of magic, shield and sword. Notice how the enemy summons weapons on his left arm. Is he using the melee staff for this, or is this a new item? Next, there is a werewolf looking creature with extra arms or carrying a humanoid, followed by the red-haired woman from the first trailer, the one that attaches her arm. Now, there is your main enemy, and probably the final boss, letting you know that you are a lowly tarnished, playing as a lord, and that he wants you to kneel before him. He's probably a lord that will be affected if the Golden Order is restored. Then, we have a fight boss with push-pull abilities like Pain from Naruto. A boss with a character looking like a Smog from the Dark Souls 1 Dragon Slayer, Ornstein and Executioner Smog, and a fight with one of the Skull Tree Giants, pulling wagon, where we see the use of magic. Next, there is a fight with the Spiritual Beast, and the use of Wolverine claws. And finally, we see a sequence of fights and characters such as a queen and servant with a grey shield and sword, like Astora from Dark Souls in the location where the paints are. A king that went mad, a fight with a spider made of giant fingers, a giant stone head, an interesting giant that grasps you with his flaming hand, an encounter with a winged knight that looks like a silver knight, a battle with your main enemy, a giant like Jorm, a fight where you do a really high jump attack, and finally, your main enemy, again, with a dragon head attached to one of his arms. Dragons. There are two interesting dragons fights during the trailer. Conclusion. In summary, the game has some elements of Dark Souls series and Berserk. It has really interesting characters, such as giants, werewolf, monsters made of joint body parts, spirit beasts, and dragons. The combat is fluent, with new elements such as mount battles and improved magic, movement set, weapons, and abilities when compared to the Dark Souls series. The world looks vast and free to roam around. There are plenty of different areas, such as castles, forests, and mountains, to explore and immerse yourself.